Do you have a wind down the day sort of show? A series where maybe you know it so well it doesn't matter if you pay attention to it, or you know the plot is so light that you don't care if you miss parts of it because the random bits you do see as you're, just getting home from work maybe. Your body is tired, your brain is still on, so you want something in the background. And yeah, you just put on a really easy show, a very unimportant show. I'm talking about Krapopolis and Ugly Americans. Now, if you're not familiar with Ugly Americans, maybe you just weren't watching TV in the early 2000s. And that's okay, the early 2000s are pretty trashy. Yeah. Ugly Americans came on the same channel, Comedy Central, as Reno 911, a show that I also hate to admit that I love. And I will tell you why I actually do love Ugly Americans, despite the fact that it checkmarks everything I hate about adult animated features. It objectifies the body in gross, sexy ways that I don't find sexy. It makes fun of work and how there is no order in adult life and everything is just depressing and pointless. Its characters are selfish and dumb and do not help one another, and it just makes me depressed inside. I don't know, maybe it's me just getting older and losing the magic in the world, but still wanting magic in the world that makes me want to see this. Because if there's one thing it does have, it has monsters living among us in present day life. I'm pretty sure that's why people like watching the show Wednesday and like watching superhero stuff in general. It's nice to think that magic exists. Now, unlike those shows where the lines dividing are very strict, very sincere, people will attack monsters or aliens as soon as they possibly can, especially the army. And Ugly Americans, yeah, monsters and aliens and other mutant creatures have been around long enough that, yeah, they aren't necessarily respected, but they're mundane. I mean, I love how Halloween is like such a hassle in their world now. Like, if you want to be politically correct, it's a hassle in reality too, but in their case, vampires and squash monsters take offense to the weird masks people put on. It's cheeky, it's dumb, and I think it's really fun. Also, weird fact, its leading character, Mark Lilly, the white cis male of the show, Mr. Nice Guy, though not that nice or that smart, but nice enough, has the same voice of Kite Man. Now, if you had seen this show before you saw Kite Man, you were probably like, oh my god, Kite Man is Mark. But no, I'm the other way around. Even though I did see Ugly Americans when I was a kid, it did not register inside of me positive. To be honest, what I mostly remembered from it was Callie, our busty demon lady. I liked her hair. Yeah, I thought it was cool how she looked like Heat Miser. And it's gross and people let you down. That just the fact that, yeah, these characters are zombies and demons and wizards. Something about that littleness, that tiny bit of magic dripped into their alcoholism and insecurities and unreliableness. Yeah, it just fills me up, makes me feel warm inside. There are some parts where it gets as nasty and absolutely stupid as much as, I don't know, Paradise PD or Family Guy, frankly. But again, I'm just a sucker for a magical world becoming, I don't know, plain and normal. I really am. Oh, and now I have a lot of sympathy for Twain. I know back in the 2000s, him being like, not necessarily gay, but very accepting with femininity, or at least not completely conforming to gender normality was supposed to be funny. Now I think it's brave. Now I think, okay, be comfortable, dude. Also, I realize that Twain might be the evilest character, but he's also just, I don't know, the most affable. He seems so pleasant to be around before he betrays you and stabs you and such. So confusing. And the fact that later this person is who will voice, like Lewis, the alligator, and Princess and the Frog is so crazy. Voice acting is so crazy. Oh, also Callie later is the skullette, like, the little talking skull intercom in the live action Nickelodeon Monster High movies. I love that she stayed with monsters. Oh, and Krapopolis is in its third season! And I loved it! I love Krapopolis. I don't care if people over-abuse ancient Greek mythology. This is done in a way that makes all the majesty and cool epicness of Greek mythology become so lame and just so cynical, and I'm here for it. But no, this might be the lightheartedest, most delightful season yet because Tyrannus is no longer king. You would think that means, oh god, he was attacked and overthrown and he's in danger and in prison. No, he decided to have an election and Schlub won. Schlub, his monster father who might have a sex addiction, but is actually maybe the friendliest and sweetest character in the whole show, Schlub becomes king. And honestly, the city doesn't change that much. Yeah, Schlub does even less than Tyrannus, other than just, throw more parties, but the city still seems to be running because, I don't know, Hippo and Stupendous care. Maybe the citizens, if they're not looking for improvements, they're just content with how they are. So yeah, Schlub being king, it gives Schlub new problems, but it makes Deliria happy because now she has something new to brag about. She didn't find much to brag about with her dear son Tyrannus. In fact, this is the season where they talk the least, and I think both are happier for it. So where is Tyrannus now? Tyrannus changed his outfit and is now living on a houseboat. And yeah, he's socializing more. He's still not great at dating, but he seems more content learning how to be a person instead of being a leader or an inventor. It's weird, but it's also sweet. I don't know, it's a little like in BoJack Horseman, where in one of the later seasons, the character Diane, she actually gains a lot of weight because she goes into a new relationship where she just feels looser. She just feels more comfortable with herself, that she isn't as, Los Angeles obsessed with being skinny. And yeah, some people might find that disappointing. I thought it was, oi, such a relief. Oi, you make me want to feel comfortable about eating a plate of fries. Yeah. So Tyrannus pulling back and maybe having less ambition, but he's learning to enjoy himself and appreciate who he is, and that was oddly very sweet. What problems does Schlub do? Well, Schlub is, as you remember, a bit impulsive, and it has caused great joy for Stupendous and great aggravation for Hippocampus. Yes, there is actually an episode where Stupendous starts a war just because of Schlub's whim. It involves Boba, of all things. And when he admits, oh, sweetheart, I kind of manipulated you into starting this war. And she's like, I don't care. I just want to, have an adventure with you, Dad. And he's like, oh, my dear girl. It's like, yay. Many, many, many soldiers in their city died. And soldiers in other cities died. But family time. Yay. There was only one episode like that. Afterwards, Stupendous, she did her own sort of thing. She kept, the soldiers running and kept her part, her responsibilities in the city going. So yeah, she was good. Hippocampus continues to be Hippocampus, but Schlub having a little more power to affect the whole city has really stressed him out. Possibly my favorite episode of this season is the basket baby. Yeah, a baby found in a basket down from the river. No, it's not the start to a biblical fairy tale. It is the start of disaster. Apparently, in this, spoof of epic stories, basket babies are demons, and Hippocampus is like, yeah, we gotta throw that thing in a volcano. That is a danger. That is a poison. That is a wild animal that needs to be contained or transported somewhere else. And it's funny because it does just seem to act and look like a baby that survives things, kind of like the Exorcist kid. And Stupendous has this line where she's like, our basket babies ever the good guys? And Hippocampus, being the scientist, being the somewhat callous person he is like, I'm not even sure what a good person is, but I can tell you, I think it depends on what side of the city is getting destroyed, or what team of yours is getting destroyed. Yeah, when he said that, it really reminded me that this show was made by the same guy who made Rick and Morty. For better or worse. Her name was Viscera, and she was a cannibal princess. She's not what you expect, though, because what do you expect from a cannibal princess? Just being hungry? No. There was a plot where Schlub wanted something from Askill, and Askill has an adult daughter, and yeah, she has her own goals of wanting to rule a city and kind of tidy it up, even though, Colossus seems to be functioning perfectly fine. The terrible jokes they have about their restaurants, like, 5 guys, as in 5 dead people in a bag, ready to be cooked up. Oh, and Chick-fil-A! We got chicks that were filleted, and they don't mean chickens. Yeah, it's terribly delightful. But still, just because something is good doesn't mean it can't be improved. And Visera, in her very gentle voice, she's played by, like, help me if I get this wrong, Kirby-Baptiste Howell. Yeah, lovely actress. She was Death in the Neil Gaiman's Sandman show. Lovely woman. She does lovely voice acting in this series, where Visera might be the most chill person you'll ever meet. Yeah, she wants to just make Krapopolis run after, some disagreements with her father. It's a whole thing. She decides to work for Schlub, and after Tyrannus teaches her not to really work for Schlub, but work around Schlub, yeah, she becomes a really important member of not the family, but of the city functioning. And, oh my gosh, Tyrannus makes a friend, a real genuine friend. Of course, he also falls in love with her because Tyrannus falls in love with anyone who is nice to him for 5 minutes. But the crazy thing is, because she lost more than one episode, Visera actually does learn to consider him a friend as well. And yeah, it's not that Tyrannus is less of an insecure little mess. He does make the mistakes, but she has a sense of humor that she's more willing to laugh at it and shrug than really tear him down for it or say, I'm better off without you. And again, very sweet. So yeah, I was actually really happy for Tyrannus in this season. He learned how to be a person. And that might seem like the most basic thing you can do, like putting on shoes, but sometimes, I don't know, existential dread and just being an adult can be so overwhelming you forget to just be content with yourself. And Schlub, yeah, because Delaria took advantage of him having a different title, and she took advantage of the fact that Zeus is not speaking to anybody else right now. Aww. Yeah, she really messed with the other gods, and she was so happy too. And Schlub, again, he didn't do much different than other stuff, but he's like, oh, I have to, answer more questions now and think about things more. People still, like him. Heck, I still like him just because he's a sweet guy. He talks about sex too much to the point where it gets old, but he does love his kids, and he does want them to be happy, even if he doesn't understand what makes them happy. And that's sweet. So, Krapopolis, I'm so happy that you have a season 3 and that you're going to have a season 4. I don't know how many seasons were pre-ordered, and I don't care. Honestly, if you were to end after this, big cliffhanger season, I wouldn't care. I always enjoy you. I can easily rewatch your episodes, but I am not so invested in your lighthearted shenanigans that, if I don't see you again, I won't be that upset. But I am happy when I have new ones to see. As for Ugly Americans, it only had 2 seasons, and I can see it definitely doing more. Honestly, with all the other revival shows, I wish they would revive Ugly Americans, because there's so much you can make fun of in today's political climate if you add monsters to it. And there have been so many, monsters and other creatures invented in the last 20 years that they can play with. So I wish Ugly Americans could get a reboot. I really do. Maybe make Callie a better character. Not in the way that she's better morally, but has a little more anatomy outside of being in love triangles. And maybe another female character wouldn't hurt. I don't know. I feel like there could be more done with the show. I feel like it's clay that could be played with more. Yeah. But I dream.